Islamic Heritage Month, the pride and joy of Ontario. Now, if you have known from reading the Islamic Heritage Month curriculum that Canada has been an Islamic place since 1858, when the first Muslims came here. Now, if you're thinking, wait, wasn't Canada confederated in 1867? Yeah, sure, but this is an absolute travesty. So we have different heritage months for religions. They're all silly. They're all stupid. We don't need any of them. We have Sikh Heritage Month, Jewish Heritage Month, Islamic Heritage Month. Okay? No Christian Heritage Month? Weren't the people who founded this country Christians? No Catholic Heritage Month? We have, a lot of Catholic history. The head of state is the Queen. Our official religion is Catholicism, but she's the head of the Anglican. It's a very complicated history. We actually do have a lot of Christian heritage. We should teach that, maybe? No, we shouldn't, because we're a secular country with a separation between church and state. But we have these different months, and they were meant as like vacuous platitudes back in the day. 2006, just sure. We have the month of Jewish Heritage Month. Now, Jewish Heritage Month and Sikh Heritage Month are not really taught in the curriculum. They kind of happen in schools, but there is no guidebook of what to teach. Not so for Islamic Heritage Month. There's an 170-page guidebook brought to you by a registered terrorist organization. We'll get to this later. So there is a massive push behind Islamic Heritage Month, coming from the National Council of Canadian Muslims, the group formerly known as CARECAN. They are a registered terrorist organization in, wait for it, the United Arab Emirates. You thought I was going to say it? Yes. National Council of Canadian Muslims, the people behind Islamic Heritage Month, who are referenced all throughout the document, are terrorists according to the United Arab Emirates, a country full of Islamophobes, presumably. Let's just show, just in case you're wondering, yes, these are the Islamophobes who say, no, those are terrorists, you shouldn't listen to them. All right, again, clearly Islamophobes. So last year is the first year this was put out. I didn't do something on this last year, I just did a lot of research. I wanted to see what Jewish Heritage Month and Sikh Heritage Month look like. Nothing. If you remember, the one controversy behind Jewish Heritage Month is a school in Forest Hill, a pretty Jewish neighborhood. They put up a Magen David. It's a Jewish symbol, the Star of David. The Star of David was put up in the hallway during Jewish Heritage Month, and one of the students felt very unsafe and very triggered because it reminded her of apartheid Israel. Oh no, Israel, the country in the Middle East where Muslims have the most rights. So they took down the banner of the Magen David because it offended someone, and then, of course, that's horribly offensive to Jews to say that a Jewish symbol is offensive. But no, this is just anti-Zionism, it's not anti-Semitism. That was what happened in Jewish Heritage Month. There was a banner put up with a Jewish symbol, it was deemed too offensive to be seen by people, and then it was re-put up when they realized, oh, maybe that's massively anti-Semitic of us. So that's Jewish Heritage Month. Sikh Heritage Month, nothing. Someone just said, Sikh people exist, good for them, no one cares. But Islamic Heritage Month, oh, what a lovely time for your kids. So, in the guidebook itself, there are advisors. There are 4 advisors who sort of made the guidebook. You have 2 people from the TDSB, the Toronto District School Board. That makes sense. It's a school project. But the other 2 main advisors should raise some questions. One, Amira El-Gabe. I probably butchered that one. She is the advisor at the National Council of Canadian Muslims. That's what it said in the old one. She's still part of there, but now her new tagline is she's part of the Canadian Anti-Hate Network. Basically it's meant to be the Southern Poverty Law Centre in Canada, brought to you by useless idiot Bertie Farber, who we'll get into later. Well, much later. Another advisor, so that's Muslim Brotherhood, NCCM. We'll go into them too. Vida Shaw, who is a professor at York University, and her specialty is social justice education. So we have Islamists and social justice coming together to make Islamic Heritage Month. And really the bigger problem in Islamic Heritage Month isn't so much the terrorist connections, because we can go on all day, but it's the intrusion of social justice and political ideology into your education system. There's a reason why test scores in Ontario are declining rapidly. Under Kathleen Wynne's government, and even before Dalton McGuinty, Dalton McGuinty left, she was education minister under Dalton McGuinty, then became premier. Test scores have been dropping. Under 50%, under 50% of our kids can pass a math and English literacy test, okay? They're not learning to read, they're not learning to write, they're learning about feminist geography or whatever it is, the next thing there. So the whole curriculum, the real problem with it, the real biggest problem is social justice. It's not just in Islamic Heritage Month, it's in everything else. But again, the Islamists are clever enough to hijack it and insert their own nonsense into it. So the biggest controversy last year was the definition of Islamophobia originally put out by these groups it was like any hatred or discomfort sent to any Muslims, makes sense. And there's a caveat, any hate or dislike of Islamic culture or politics. Really? I thought Islamic politics didn't exist. I thought it was Islamophobic to assert that there's a political aspect to Islam sometimes. But no. When the political Islamists get their hands on something, they say you can't dislike Islamic politics. That's absolutely nonsense, okay? Like, you can't dislike aspects. Some of you are hate watching this right now and hate my politics. Does that mean you hate all conservatives? No, you might hate me, fine, hate me, I don't care. But should you hate all conservatives? Now, some people do. Some people, because of Islamic politics, end up hating all Muslims. They shouldn't. Some people, because of conservative politics, end up hating all conservatives. Some conservatives hate all left-wing people because of liberal politics, right? That's not healthy, that's not good. But just because I dislike Justin Trudeau's politics, it doesn't mean I hate everyone who votes liberal. That would be that's too many people to hate, and I really don't. It's not. I can separate people from the politics they portray. So that's an insane thing. And any dislike of Islamic culture constitutes Islamophobia. On Eid al-Adha, I believe, the most recent one, animal sacrifice is part of the deal, right? You sacrifice animals. Personally, I'm pretty libertarian and I eat meat, so I don't freak out over the animal sacrifice as long as it's done in a reasonable way, right? If you're slaughtering pigs on the streets of Brampton, then no, they wouldn't slaughter pigs, cows or sheep, right? No, or in a hotel washroom, no, don't do that. But I'm pretty libertarian on the cause. Vegans, however, don't like animal sacrifice. They're vegans. Does this mean that vegans who probably don't like this element of Islam, which is animal sacrifice, are Islamophobic? By this definition, yes, it does. And that's absurd. So let's get into the people behind it. The National Council of Canadian Muslims. The art is formerly known as CARE-CAN. So this is a division of CARE USA. Now, they tried to claim they weren't after CARE was listed as an unindicted co-conspirator in the Holy Land Foundation trial. This is the landmark trial in the United States for financing terrorism. So, they weren't the only ones listed, so this means they were caught, basically unindicted co-conspirator is, we know you helped send money to Hamas, but we don't want to go through the effort of proving it in every single organization now, but we're just going to say, we know you did it to not fight the legal battle. There is one organization that did lose its charitable status because of this in Canada, the ICNA, Islamic Circle in North America. If you've heard of the recent Islamic conference called Carrying the Light, they're putting that on. So they lost their charitable status because they are financiers of terrorism. Linda Sarsour is coming to speak at the Carrying the Light conference. Omar Al-Ghabra, a Liberal MP, got caught taking a photo and promoting this conference as well. He used to be part of the Canadian Arab Foundation, which again lost charitable status for its support of Hamas and Hezbollah, terrorist organizations. So CARE, or CARE-CAN, which is now the National Council of Canadian Muslims, they are part of this too. And the ICNA, they're doing this conference. They're also bringing in Siraj Wahhaj to talk. That's an interesting thing. If you're thinking, oh, Siraj Wahhaj, I know that name. Is that the guy wait, wasn't he the guy behind the terrorist compound in New Mexico? Technically, no, that was his son, Siraj Wahhaj. So his son was the terrorist who had the terrorist training camp. He was actually an unindicted co-conspirator in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. That is this Siraj Wahhaj we're talking about. And he was listed as Linda Sarsour's favorite person in the room circa 2017. Oh, all the Linda Sarsour fans out there are going crazy. So these are the ICNA. They lost on this, but the NCCM was just unindicted. There was less evidence linking them to terrorist funding. All right. So the NCCM, who are these people? They are CARE or CARE can, right? They used to be a division of CARE until they got a bad name. Then they changed their name. According to their own press release, they're still the same organization. They just have a brand new name to fight hate or fight for hate. Either one, we're not sure. So they used to be headed up by a man named Jamal Badawi. So he was the head from their inception in 1993 until about 2013 when there was some dirt that came out on him, and then they switched over directors. But he was the director of the National Council of Canadian Muslims. He is listed on a court-verified document in Canada as being part of the Muslim Brotherhood's Shura Council in North America. This is sort of like their board of advisors, the advisory board of the Muslim Brotherhood. He's also in a 1992 Muslim Brotherhood document himself, listed by name as their head of Dawah in Canada. And this is sort of Islamic propaganda, Dawah. In this, just to clear, what Dawah means to the Muslim Brotherhood in this document, it is the propagation of combative jihad, which is the prospect to overthrow the North American and Western culture through infiltration and Islamic dominance. So they define combative jihad, which is part of Dawah, which Jamal Badawi was head of, as infiltrating our systems, using the means of democracy against it to destroy itself and bring apart an Islamic caliphate. So caliphates all day. Basically ISIS without the guns. And this is why Muslim Brotherhood, most ISIS senior members are former Muslim Brotherhood members. They just grab guns and kill people, and they say, whoa, 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 now they're not Muslim Brotherhood. Unless they do it in Israel, in which case they're still Muslim Brotherhood. So Hamas is basically ISIS, except ISIS says global caliphate first, then we kill the Jews. Hamas says we're going to kill all the Jews, then we're going to do a global caliphate. The Muslim Brotherhood somewhat distances themselves from ISIS. They actually consider Hamas a part of their organization. They're very proud of it. They're the ones who basically said, killing Israeli children is not considered terrorism because Israeli children aren't people. Charming, charming people. So they were founded in about 1992 by the Islamic Association of Palestine. This is CARE, which is a front group for the Muslim Brotherhood. The Islamic Association of Palestine has been listed as a front group of Hamas, which again is the militant wing of the Muslim Brotherhood. Jamal Badawi has talked about court-verified documents. He's in the Muslim Brotherhood documents as being the head of it. He was also chairing, at his time in the in CARE-CAN, which is now the NCCM. He was the chair also of the Muslim Association of Canada. This has been identified in Senate testimony as a Muslim Brotherhood front group. So the Canadian Senate recognizes the Muslim Association of Canada as a Muslim Brotherhood front group. If you remember the story in Toronto, the downtown Yonge and Dundas Mosque that called for the purification of the Al-Aqsa Mosque from the filth of the Jews, humiliate the atheists, the polytheists, the non-believers, death to all the Jews. They put that on their website. They prayed to it. Everyone was like, yep, that was the Muslim Association of Canada. They brought in Tariq Ramadan to, again, kill the Jews. Most of the damning videos that have come out in the last 5 years of a Muslim cleric saying something hateful and crazy, they're usually Muslim Association of Canada. So the way it works, as it's been identified in court, the Muslim Association of Canada is sort of the front group for the Muslim Brotherhood. They're more strident. They bring in the hate preachers and all the nonsense. And the NCCM, or CARE-CAN, their job is to sort of be like the more legitimate front. They focus on like Islamophobia awareness and combating hate and sort of getting in with the social justice crew. That's their job, is to sort of subvert Canada from inside the social justice movement, whereas the Muslim Association of Canada is there to sort of spout out their true intentions, and they keep these things quasi-separate. So the basically the Muslim Brotherhood, the National Council of Canadian Muslims, their director is an advisor, so one of the main people behind it. They are listed as a speaker, so they bring in different speakers for Islamic Heritage Month. The NCCM is just listed as a speaker. We're going to bring someone in from the Muslim Brotherhood to talk to you. Whoopee. They're listed as a guide and a reference guide to go to, so if you need guidance through Islam, go to the Muslim Brotherhood, the NCCM. And they have a workshop. So if you, on your spare time, students, if you want to get some Islamist education, you can click on the NCCM workshop. And again, this is a Muslim Brotherhood front group, and it's been identified that in court documents, unindicted co-conspirator in the Holy Land Foundation trial. None of this really bodes well for this. My favorite thing, though, is in reading this year's curriculum opposed to last year's, they have a statement from the Premier, but they didn't get one from Doug Ford. They just said, here's a statement from Premier Kathleen Wynne. So good on him. So good on Doug Ford for not signing his name to this document. All right, so that's kind of who's behind it. What's in there? It's an absolute mess of just nonsense. There's supposed to be an announcement every day to kindergartners, middle schools, preschools. You basically make an Islamic announcement every day, like, did you know that Muslims invented coffee? Like, no, and some of the things are so hilariously patronizing, like 1,001 Muslim inventions. They literally make the claim that that flying is an Islamic invention because some guy jumped off and glided on something like 1,000 years ago before the Wright brothers. That is the most inane and ridiculous, like it's so silly, some of this stuff. But there are book assignments to read. Some of the announcements like talk about Malcolm X. And listen, you shouldn't be telling kids like glorifying Malcolm X. I'm not very anti-pro. Like, Malcolm X is a controversial figure, right? Martin Luther King Jr. is good for kindergartners. Malcolm X, that's something where you talk about in high school. I read his biography in high school. It's actually an interesting biography. It's worth the read. If you want to learn what, like, I keep saying Muslim Brotherhood. What's the Louis Farrakhan one? Nation of Islam. The Nation of Islam. What they actually believe, read Malcolm X's biography, read what the Nation of Islam actually believes. It's not the same origin story as Islam. It's actually something quite different. It's insane, highly anti-Semitic, like crazy racism, bastardized genetics and modern science. It's hilarious and a bit terrifying. Malcolm X did leave the Nation of Islam. He was then assassinated because of that. People think he was killed by racism. No, he was killed by the Nation of Islam because he's like, Elijah Muhammad is a crazy person, and I realize that now. I'm going to focus on the black community. And they're like, pew! One of the things we don't really talk about. My favorite morning announcement is do you remember Malala Yousafzai? She is a famous Muslim who fought for the rights of girls and was attacked by those who were opposed to female education. Oh, really? Islamic Heritage Month. Who were the people in Pakistan opposed to educating girls? Who were they? Would they happen to be the Taliban? And why does the Taliban oppose the education of girls? Is it because of their religious beliefs, as they state? Or is it because is it just Western propaganda because of the patriarchy? So it's riddled with complications and problems, and it's propaganda. It doesn't teach the things. It talks about complete gender equality in Islam, which is an abject lie. It basically, one of the homework, they focus on Yasmin Abigail Magdid. She's the Australian feminist Muslim. She's the one who claimed that Islam is the first, invented feminism. Linda Sarsour Light. She's a big figure in this year. There's like homework assignments on her. She got in trouble because she bashed Anzac Day. That's like Remembrance Day in Australia, and said, well, we should be remembering Palestine today. Right. Okay. So that's Islamic Heritage Month. And what's happened, we've seen homework assignments where people have said, like, write a letter to your family about you converting to Islam. This should not be sent to kids. If you want to say, this is Islamic Heritage Month, and these are the 5 pillars of Islam, but we have world religions class. Like, we don't need any of this. This is pure nonsense. I want to eliminate Islamic Heritage Month, Jewish Heritage Month, Sikh Heritage Month. Throw it all away. We don't need any of it. It shouldn't be taught in schools. We are a secular country. We should have a secular education system. And I'm going to take a very radical stance here. I think our education system should focus on education. I believe math should be taught in math class, English in English class, and biology in biology class, believe it or not. I know, radical, quite radical. You mean no social justice mathematics? No, none of that.